In this video, I am going to be taking you back from all the way from the iPhone. In this video, I am going to be taking you back from the iPhone 15 Pro all the way back to this classic beauty. Stick around till the end of the video to check out the iPhone 4. Now let's talk about the iPhone 15 Pro.
Look at iPhone 15 Pro, the most pro iPhone we've ever created.
This is Apple's latest phone out right now, and hands down, this is one of definitely the best phones of the whole year. The iPhone 15 Pro comes with the spectacular A17 Pro chip, which is the new chip that just came out this year. Before this, it used to be the Bionic chips. One of the fastest processing phones right now, Apple definitely takes the lead compared to all other smartphones in the industry when it comes to top speed of an actual smartphone. Checking out the cameras, it comes with a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera, 12 megapixel telescope camera, 12 megapixel main camera, and a 48 megapixel Pro RAW camera. Not many design changes compared to last year, but if we go all the way back to the iPhone 4, Apple has definitely evolved the cameras, the new dynamic island, we've got the USB-C now, the titanium body frame. It's changed so much and evolved so much. I also have a detailed review of the iPhone 15 Pro on my channel. I'll link it down below. Check that out as well. Let's head back to the iPhone 14 now. Now let's talk about the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14. यार मैं वीडियो बना रहा हूँ. Going back, checking out the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the iPhone 14 Pro.
I'm excited to share our most innovative Pro lineup yet.
This is where the Apple finally got rid of the notch and gave us the dynamic islands. This phone was the first phone that introduced the dynamic islands. Now still today, we don't have that many features on the dynamic island. Maybe as time goes on, we will get to see more exciting features and third-party usage on the dynamic island. But until now, the dynamic island in my review is not that big of a deal. The iPhone 14s also promised the fastest speed at their time compared to all other smartphones, but this is where the Bionic chips finally ended. Compared to the iPhone 15 Pro, these 14 models came with a stainless steel frame. They had sharp, flat edges, which really used to cut your hands as well. This issue was addressed in the iPhone 15 Pro, and it had curved edges, a titanium frame, and lighter weight compared to this phone. Another exciting thing to know about the iPhone is that the 14 models is where finally the Lightning port ended. There wasn't much difference in the cameras, apart from the Pro Log video mode that was introduced in the 15. The iPhone 14 Pro series still came with a 12 megapixel main camera, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 12 megapixel scopic camera, and a 48 megapixel Pro RAW camera. Now, as we all know, Apple does not promise a lot of tech in their new smartphones. It comes out slow every year. So we'll skip the iPhone 13 and the 12 and the 11.
People who got caught lying on social media.
And checking out the iPhone 10.
This is iPhone 10.
Now the iPhone 10, or as Apple refers to it, the iPhone X, was a revolutionary iPhone made by Apple. The iPhone X first time promised the most screen to body ratio, where Apple removed their home button as well, and this promised a much larger screen to body ratio with the notch in the iPhone. The display on this thing was 5.8 inches good. The display on the iPhone X was 5.8 inches with a lot more screen to body ratio, and it had the notch, which was first time introduced by Apple in the iPhone. Now this is where the fingerprint sensor was removed, which used to be included in the home button of Apple, and for the first time Face ID was introduced by Apple, and even today Face ID is one of the best and safest way, and Apple has done it the best, Face ID in the iPhone compared to all other smartphones. The iPhone X was running the A11 Bionic chip. Again, back in 2017, Apple topped the numbers with the fastest smartphone of the year. This phone at its time was running the brand new iOS 11, which promised the new App Store, live photos, and a new voice for Siri. Another thing that was introduced the first time was two cameras behind the iPhone X. It had a 12 megapixel main camera, 12 megapixel telescopic camera, and a 7 megapixel front selfie camera. Let's go ahead and travel back to the era of the big smartphones. Small smartphones were now running out of fashion. Every company was coming in with big screen smartphones, big size smartphones. 2014, the iPhone 6 Plus.
Today, we are launching the biggest advancement in the history of iPhone.
Now, even though this phone was a bigger phone compared to the iPhone X, but this phone had less screen to body ratio and a 5.5 inches display. This is also because this phone still had the traditional Apple's home button, and the fingerprint sensor was integrated inside that home button as your security unlock for the iPhone 6 Plus. This phone was running the Apple A8 chip. This is when the Bionic chips were not introduced, but still at its year, this phone was still the fastest smartphone of that year compared to all other smartphones. In terms of software, this phone was running the iOS 8. The iOS 8 at its time was still a very smooth, user-friendly software created by Apple, and people were loving the iPhone at this stage. Now, I love the design of this phone. It was very slim, very lightweight, even though it was a big phone, but this is when people were loving the bigger displays for YouTube, for movies. Now, talking about the camera, this is when the iPhones only had a single camera at the back. The iPhone 6 Plus specifically came with an 8 megapixel camera at the back and a 1.2 megapixel camera in the front as a selfie camera. The moment we've all been waiting for to check out this beauty by Apple, let's go ahead and travel back to 2010 when the iPhone 4 came out.
We're introducing iPhone 4.
This is when everything changed. This is where Apple made a statement. This is the first time there was internet on the phone. This is when Apple first introduced email in the iPhone. Now, this phone first came out in 2010. It was revolutionary. It's discontinued now from a very long time. I've still got it saved. It's an antique. Check out this phone, how beautiful it was. Everyone was carrying an iPhone 4 at the time with its sleek, beautiful design, the two volume buttons here. We got the slider for silent, we got the lock and unlock on the top, and this is when we used to have the headphone jack as well. Let's check out the charger of this phone as well. This is when Apple had this big, fat, bulky pin to charge the iPhone 4, which was later on converted to the Lightning cable. Now, the phone came with iOS 4. It feels unreal how far we've traveled to the iOS 17 now. This phone had a whopping 3.5 inches display. Talking about the cameras, this phone had a 5 megapixel main camera, which is not even as good as most of the selfie cameras in so many smartphones now. And the front facing selfie camera on this phone was 0.3 megapixel. Now, this phone is 14 years old. It's not working. It does turn on, but the screen doesn't show up. If you guys want me to go ahead, get this phone fixed, turn it on, and give you a full detailed review of this beauty antique piece, leave a comment down below. I'll definitely go ahead, fully review this phone to you. Until then, I hope you like this video. Please subscribe, support the cause, and I'll see you in the next.